Hi guys, Matt Easton here. So I made a video a few days ago regarding the uses of lance in melee combat. So when your horse had come to a halt or was only moving slowly, the fact that lances aren't very good weapons. And a number of people noted in the comments under that video that the use of the reins was not very important amongst people who were trained to fight on horseback. And I would contend with that point. In that there are numerous historical sources that refer to the use of the reins in combat, and usually, even if a person was using a shield on their left hand, usually they would hold the reins in their hand and the shield would be strapped either on their arm or the final end arm of the shield that they hold with the hand. They would also hold the reins in that hand as well. And yes, of course, the use of the thighs and the knees, and even obviously the heels, the spurs, and quite brutal bits that were in the horse's mouth, which obviously is attached to the reins, contributed to controlling of the horse. And a lot of people correctly point out that the use of the knees and the legs are very important in riding a horse and using weapons. But equally, the use of the hand on the reins is also important, and there are many historical examples, and I've just pulled out one. So this is a book that is the letters of Brevet Major O.H.S.G. Anson from the Indian Mutiny. He was from the 9th Lancers. Just put the book there. There we go. So it's Anson's letters from the Indian Mutiny, Anson of the 9th Lancers. And he's referring to, I believe it's his nephew or cousin, I can't remember which, who he refers to as young Anson, so he's not referring to himself. And he says, young Anson shot a man at Aligarh just in time, for he was on the point of dealing a blow at him, with a sword presumably. Anson had lost his sword, but luckily had his pistol, probably a single shot pistol. His bridle hand, you know, was wounded at Delhi, the siege of Delhi that is, and he'll probably lose the use of the middle finger of it, so he finds it rather difficult to manage his runaway horse. So there we go. And there are many accounts of people getting their bridle hand, rein hand, injured, and therefore they can't control their horse properly. And you know what? There were also orders given to aim at the person's hands that hold the reins, and it became common practice in India, fighting against during the Indian Mutiny against rebels, but also in the Sikh wars and against the Sikh Khalsa. It became actually not uncommon for British officers to start wearing a chainmail, that is right, chainmail in the 19th century, gauntlet on their left hand, because it was a common Indian tactic to aim at the left arm so the person would lose accurate control on their horse. It's not to say you can't control a horse without the reins, of course you can. If you're a horse archer, for example, if most famously, obviously you're not holding the reins, although there are images and references to them holding the reins in their teeth, incidentally. But obviously if you're using a bow, predominantly you're just riding in a straight line or riding in a big circle. You're not doing anything complex. If you're in combat in a melee, you need to have really precise control of your horse, especially if you're fighting against infantry or obviously other cavalry. So it's very important to have the use of both your legs and the reins. Okay, and aside from the fact that it was a common thing to protect the bridle arm, and in the English Civil War, for example, they had a type of gauntlet which came up to the elbow and covered the whole forearm and hand to protect that left arm controlling the horse. So it was a very common, widespread thing to think, you know, quite tactically about how to protect that hand so you kept control of your horse. But there were even orders given. I believe there was an order given at Waterloo against the French cuirassiers to aim at their bridle hands. So it was a very acknowledged thing, not just in the 19th century, but going quite a long way back, and not just in Europe, but also in India and other places as well. So it was common to aim at the hand holding the reins, therefore the reins must be an important part of controlling the horse in combat. Okay, there we go guys, cheers.